The Hook, Dawn of Conflict, emerges empire. In a dark and silent sky, the first light of conflict began to show. Far across the horizon, where the stars met the darkness, a mighty empire was rising. The great human warship, known as the Eagle of Unity, shone like a beacon against the night. It was a time when the lines between man and machine blurred, and a new power was emerging from the shadows. Captain Arlen, a brave and steady leader, stood on the bridge of the warship. His eyes were fixed on the vast expanse of space, where a mysterious light signaled the rise of an enemy force. Next to him, the ship's artificial intelligence, called Ada, worked silently. Ada was not just a machine. She had a spark of life that made her more than a simple tool. Together, they symbolized the unity of human spirit and mechanical might. The empire that was rising was known as the Emerges Empire. It had once been a small force, but now it had grown large and powerful. Rumors had spread through the stars that this empire planned to conquer and rule every corner of the galaxy. The idea of such total control filled many hearts with fear. But for Captain Arlen and his crew, it was a call to action, a chance to fight for freedom and for the future of both man and machine. On the bridge, the crew worked with calm determination. Lieutenant Mira, a young officer with a clear mind, monitored the sensors. "Captain," she said in a steady voice, "the sensors show a large formation of ships. The Emerges Empire's fleet is on the move." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of the coming storm. Captain Arlen nodded and walked over to the large viewing screen. There, in simple lines of light, the enemy fleet appeared. The ships moved slowly, like a dark cloud creeping over the stars. He remembered the old tales of great empires rising and falling. Now he saw the beginnings of a new power, and he knew that his role was to stand against it. He thought of his crew, who were ready to defend their home with every part of their being. In the quiet hum of the ship, every sound was magnified. The steady beep of instruments, the soft murmur of voices in the control room, and even the distant creak of metal reminded everyone that they were at the edge of a great conflict. Ada's voice, calm and clear, broke the silence. "Captain, the enemy fleet is approaching fast. We must prepare for the encounter." Her words were simple, yet they brought a sense of urgency to the entire crew. As the warship moved closer to the enemy, the stars outside the windows seemed to hold their breath. The vast emptiness of space was suddenly filled with tension and expectation. The crew felt the weight of history on their shoulders, as if they were part of a moment that would be remembered for ages. The unity between the human crew and their machine partners was now more important than ever. They knew that only together could they face the challenges that lay ahead. Captain Arlen recalled the early days of unity. Long ago, humans and machines had been divided, each fearing the other. But in time, they learned to work together. This warship was a living symbol of that change. The metal and circuits of the ship worked in perfect harmony with the beating hearts of its crew. Every decision was made as one, every move a step toward a shared future. The silent skies filled with the low rumble of distant engines. The enemy fleet grew larger, and the first signs of battle became visible. Tiny bursts of light signaled the ignition of engines, and as the ships drew near, the tension became a palpable force. The crew of the Eagle of Unity felt a mixture of fear and hope. They knew that the battle they faced was not just about survival, but also about the promise of a united future. In the heart of the ship, young Private Lyon worked at his station with a focus that belied his age. His hands moved quickly over the controls as he prepared the ship's weapons. He remembered his training and the stories of great battles that his teachers had told him. Today, he was a part of that long line of defenders. Every crew member felt that duty, and each one hoped to protect what they loved. The Emerges Empire was not yet fully revealed, but the signs were clear. The enemy was determined to impose its rule and to erase the delicate balance that had been built over time. With each passing second, the threat grew more real. The warship's lights danced across the dark expanse, reflecting the resolve in every face on board. They were ready to defend their freedom, to stand together against the rising empire. As the first battle signals echoed through the corridors, the crew took their positions. The Eagle of Unity moved with purpose, its engines roaring in defiance of the dark force that threatened to take over. In that moment, under the silent watch of the stars, the conflict had truly begun. And so, the dawn of a new era arrived, a time of great risk, a time of deep unity, and the beginning of a fight that would change the course of history. The stage was set for a battle that would test the limits of both human courage and mechanical precision. The rising Emerges empire had cast its long shadow, but the light of unity shone brightly in response. In the midst of the cold, empty space, a promise was made that no force, no matter how strong, could break the bond between humans and their machines. And with that promise, the first chapter of an epic saga was written. The call to unity. In the quiet aftermath of the initial encounter, the crew of the Eagle of Unity gathered in the ship's common room. The tension from the first warning still lingered like a shadow, but now there was a growing feeling of purpose. Captain Arlen had called them together, not just to share the news of the enemy's advance, but to remind them of what they stood for: unity between humans and machines. The room was filled with a soft, steady light that reflected off metal panels and human faces alike. Lieutenant Mira, still alert from her earlier watch, stepped forward to speak. "We have seen the enemy, and we know that the Emerges empire is growing stronger by the day," she said in a clear, measured tone. "But we are not alone. We have each other, and that bond between man and machine is our greatest strength." Her words were simple, yet they resonated with every member of the crew. The call to unity was not just about fighting a common foe. It was about overcoming old fears and prejudices. For too long, humans had looked upon machines with suspicion, and machines had been seen as mere tools rather than partners. Now, on the brink of war, that old way of thinking was being left behind. In the background, Ada's soft, synthesized voice joined the conversation. "History shows us that strength lies in collaboration. When humans and machines work as one, our potential becomes limitless," she said. Ada was more than a computer program. She was a symbol of a future where technology served humanity with empathy and precision. Her words echoed the sentiment that every part of the ship, whether flesh or metal, was essential to the mission. Outside, the vast darkness of space continued to shift and change, mirroring the evolving feelings of the crew. Private Lyon, who had worked diligently at his station during the earlier alert, now looked up and smiled. His eyes shone with the excitement of being part of something greater than himself. He remembered stories from his childhood, tales of brave warriors and wise machines, but never had he imagined he would see those alliances in his own time. Captain Arlen moved through the room with a calm determination, stopping in front of a large holographic display. The screen showed images of past battles, scenes of chaos where humans and machines had once clashed before finding peace. "Our history is filled with lessons," he began in a steady voice. "There was a time when we feared each other, but look at what we have become now. Today we stand together, stronger than we ever were apart." As the captain spoke, the hologram shifted to images of both human families and robotic figures working side by side in factories, laboratories, and even on the battlefield. The images were simple yet powerful. They told the story of progress, of a world that had learned to value cooperation over conflict. The crew saw not just past hardships, but also the hope of a future where unity could overcome any threat. In that moment, every crew member felt the pull of destiny. The call to unity was not merely a strategic decision. It was a moral one. They understood that the Emerges empire's rise was not just about power, but about division. It was an empire built on the idea of control, one that sought to keep its people separated and weak. In contrast, the Eagle of Unity and its crew were a living testament to the power of togetherness. Lieutenant Mira then stepped aside to allow another voice to join. A soft-spoken engineer named Jonas, whose quiet determination had always been a source of strength, addressed the group. "Every day, I work with machines that were once seen as cold and unfeeling. Now I see them as partners, friends who can think, learn, and grow alongside us. We all have a part to play in this fight, he said. His words brought a gentle warmth to the room, reinforcing the belief that every individual, whether human or machine, mattered. Ada continued to provide insight, adding that the enemy's tactics relied on fear and division. The Emerges Empire thrives on separating us. They want us to see our differences as weaknesses, but our differences make us strong. When you combine human intuition with machine precision, you create a force that is both creative and powerful. The conversation then turned toward the practical. Plans were shared about how they would improve their communication systems, integrate new strategies, and prepare for the battles ahead. Simple diagrams and flowcharts were projected onto the display, each one a reminder that unity was not just a feeling, but a well-planned effort. Every person in the room listened closely, knowing that the smallest detail could make the difference between victory and defeat. Throughout the meeting, the sense of camaraderie grew stronger. Every story shared, every plan discussed, served to knit the crew together tighter. They began to see themselves not just as individuals, but as an inseparable team, a blend of flesh and circuit, heart and logic. The call to unity had awakened something in them all. They were ready to stand together, to trust one another, and to fight with a shared spirit that no empire could ever break. By the end of the gathering, a new sense of purpose filled the air. The crew left the common room with determined eyes and steady hearts, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the silent corridors of the Eagle of Unity, the message was clear. Only together could they overcome the rising threat. With unity as their guiding star, they were prepared to meet the enemy head-on and forge a future where humanity and machines thrived side by side. The call to unity was now more than a plan. It was a promise, a beacon of hope in a dark and uncertain time. And as the ship sailed into the unknown, every member on board carried that promise, ready to turn it into a reality on the battlefield and beyond. The assembly. After the inspiring call to unity, the crew of the Eagle of Unity moved quickly to put their plan into action. The bridge hummed with a steady rhythm as Captain Arlen and Ada organized the next steps. Every crew member knew that the coming battle would require every skill and every heart on board to work as one. In the spacious assembly hall, rows of seats faced a large screen that displayed the plan for their next mission. The plan was simple yet vital: to gather a small, elite team of both human soldiers and machine experts who could lead the fight against the rising threat of the Emerges Empire. As the crew settled in, Captain Arlen stepped forward with calm authority. His voice was steady and clear as he began to explain the mission. "Today, we form our core team," Captain Arlen said. "This team will work closely with all departments, blending human insight with machine precision. We will prepare for the enemy's next move and gather the intelligence we need to protect our future." His words resonated with everyone in the room, reinforcing that each person had a role in this greater plan. Lieutenant Mira, with her quick mind and sharp eyes, was among the first to volunteer. She was known for her careful observation and clear decision-making. Mira had spent long hours scanning the space around them, learning the patterns of the enemy fleet. Her skill would be key in guiding the team during the upcoming encounter. With a nod from the captain, she accepted the responsibility of leading the team's technical and strategic efforts. Next, Private Lyon stepped forward. Though young, Lyon's determination and swift hands made him an ideal candidate to operate the ship's advanced weapon systems. His training and focus were evident to all. He was entrusted with monitoring the battle lines and providing real-time updates on enemy movements. His role would be critical during moments when every second counted. Joining them was Jonas, the quiet yet brilliant engineer whose steady hands had kept the ship running during previous crises. Jonas had the knack for fixing problems before they grew into major issues. His deep understanding of both human mechanics and machine systems made him a bridge between the two worlds. Jonas was assigned to ensure that all systems were operating in perfect harmony, ready to support the team whenever needed. In a separate corner of the assembly hall, a group of support staff gathered. They included specialists in communications, logistics, and navigation. Ada, the ship's ever-watchful AI, had already been working on coordinating these resources. With her help, the team would have a constant flow of information and support from every corner of the Eagle of Unity. The assembly was more than just a meeting. It was a melding of talents and hopes. Each person, whether experienced or young, was eager to do their part. The team members exchanged determined glances, aware that their success depended on trust and cooperation. They knew that the bond between humans and machines was their greatest strength, and they were ready to prove it. Captain Arlen then turned his attention to a holographic display that showed a map of the nearby star systems. "Our first target is a small enemy outpost that is gathering supplies," he explained. "This mission is not just about striking a blow to the enemy. It is about learning their plans and understanding their strengths and weaknesses." The map zoomed in to reveal a network of routes and potential ambush points. With each detail, the plan became more concrete, and the excitement in the room grew. Ada's voice filled the hall as she added, "I have already analyzed the enemy's patterns and calculated the best course of action. This mission is designed to test our unity. Each decision we make together will show that when humans and machines work as one, we are unstoppable." Her words, delivered in simple language, brought reassurance to everyone. The meeting continued with detailed discussions on roles and responsibilities. Mira explained how she would use the ship's sensors to detect enemy movements, while Lion reviewed the settings on the battle control panel. Jonas described the backup systems that would kick in if any part of the ship's defense was compromised. Every detail was discussed with clarity, ensuring that no one left the room unsure of their duty. As the session ended, the assembled team stood together in a quiet moment of solidarity. They knew that the mission ahead was dangerous, but they also knew that they were prepared to face it as a united force. The Eagle of Unity was not just a warship, it was a symbol of hope, the living example of what could be achieved when differences were set aside in favor of a common goal. With the plan firmly in place, the team dispersed to their stations, ready to train further and refine their strategy. The hall, now filled with a mix of determination and quiet excitement, echoed with the belief that together they could overcome any challenge. The assembly had marked the beginning of a new phase in their journey, a phase where every human and every machine worked in perfect harmony to forge a better future. The rising conflict. As the Eagle of Unity sailed deeper into the unknown regions of space, tension began to build among the crew. The calm confidence from their recent assembly gave way to a growing sense of urgency. Outside the large viewing window, the enemy fleet of the Emerges Empire moved steadily closer, their formations dark and imposing against the starry backdrop. Lieutenant Mira was the first to notice subtle changes in the enemy's pace. Her eyes remained glued to the sensor display as she reported, "Captain, the enemy fleet is changing its formation. They are preparing for a direct encounter." Her voice was steady, but the concern in her tone could not be hidden. The crew felt the weight of each second passing by. Captain Arlen stood at the helm, his mind racing with plans and possibilities. He understood that the enemy was not only powerful, but also unpredictable. He recalled the early training sessions and the shared moments of unity that had brought them together. Now, that unity would be tested. Every crew member knew that the upcoming conflict was more than just a battle. It was a fight for their future and the promise of cooperation between humans and machines. Ada's calm voice cut through the murmurs of worry in the control room. "My analysis indicates that the enemy's new formation is designed to surround and overwhelm. We must adjust our shields and prepare for evasive maneuvers." Her words, always precise and logical, helped to clear the fog of fear that had started to settle among the team. She provided step-by-step guidance, ensuring that every crew member understood the gravity of the situation. In a small compartment near the weapons control station, Private Lion's hands moved swiftly over the controls. He rechecked the targeting systems and adjusted the weapon settings as Ada directed. Every beep of the console reminded him of the stakes involved. Though he was young, his determination and focus gave him strength. He thought of his family back home and the countless others who depended on the success of their mission. Meanwhile, Jomis, the skilled engineer, worked furiously to ensure that all systems were running at their peak. He monitored the engine outputs and shield integrity, making quick adjustments to counter any unforeseen changes in the enemy's tactics. The sound of his tools and the steady hum of the engines created a rhythm of resolve throughout the ship. In the command center, Captain Arlen studied the holographic map that displayed the enemy's movements. The visual showed a sea of dark vessels advancing like a relentless tide. He remembered the words of his mentors. Courage was not the absence of fear, but the strength to move forward despite it. With that in mind, he addressed the assembled officers. "We face a challenge unlike any we have known. Our enemy seeks to isolate and divide us. But we will not falter. Together, our unity is our shield and our sword." The captain's words sparked a renewed determination among the crew. Even as the enemy ships grew larger on the display, each person found a spark of hope in the idea of unity. They had come so far, forging a bond that allowed them to operate as one living entity. This shared resolve was the backbone of their strength. Outside, the dark hulls of the enemy ships contrasted sharply with the bright, determined glow of the Eagle of Unity. The rising conflict was now a tangible force that could be felt in every heartbeat on board. Every crew member was aware that the coming moments could change everything. A single misstep could lead to disaster, while a united front could turn the tide of battle. As the ship edged closer to the enemy, a sudden alert rang out. "Multiple enemy vessels closing in from the starboard side," reported a crew member with urgency. The rapid approach of these vessels added a new layer of tension to the already heavy atmosphere. Captain Arlen quickly ordered, "All hands, brace for impact and prepare for evasive action. We must use our unity to outmaneuver them." In that critical moment, every role on board came into focus. The communications team ensured that every message was clear and precise. The navigation crew adjusted the course of the Eagle of Unity with expert precision. And all the while, Ada coordinated the operations with unmatched accuracy, linking every system into a single, cohesive unit. The enemy was now within striking distance. The looming threat of an all-out battle cast a long shadow over the bridge. Yet in that dark hour, the crew's determination only grew stronger. They knew that the rising conflict was not merely about the clash of metal and power, but about defending a future built on trust and cooperation. The sound of distant engines and the soft beeping of alarms marked the beginning of a challenge that would test their resolve like never before. In the silence between commands and the rising crescendo of battle preparations, the crew of the Eagle of Unity took a moment to reflect on their journey. Every human heart and every machine circuit pulsed with the promise of unity. Despite the overwhelming presence of the enemy, the spirit of togetherness burned brightly. They had come together as a family, a mix of flesh and steel, ready to face the dark tide that threatened to engulf them. And so, as the enemy fleet closed in, the rising conflict was set in motion. With hearts filled with courage and minds united in purpose, the crew braced for the storm that was about to break. The stage was now set for a battle that would not only test their skill and resolve, but also the very essence of what it meant to be united in the face of overwhelming odds. The battle commences. The silence of space was shattered by the sudden roar of engines and the crackle of energy weapons. In that instant, the Eagle of Unity surged forward, its hull glowing with determination as it broke into the enemy formation. Every crew member braced for what was about to come, and the ship itself seemed to pulse with life and resolve. On the bridge, Captain Arlen's eyes stayed fixed on the holographic map that now lit up with moving enemy vessels. "All units, prepare for battle," he commanded in a calm, steady tone. The order was clear, and every person on board knew their role. The battle was not a matter of if, but when and how they would use their unity to overcome the looming threat. Lieutenant Mira, standing at the sensor console, quickly scanned the incoming fleet. Her fingers danced over the controls as she relayed updates to the rest of the team. "Captain, enemy ships on the port side are launching a barrage of laser fire. Shields at maximum capacity," she said. Even as the alarms rang out, her voice remained focused and clear, a reminder that every detail counted. At the weapons station, Private Lyon tightened his grip on the control panel. His heart pounded with a mix of excitement and fear. He had trained for this moment, and now his skill would help turn the tide of battle. With simple commands, he launched a volley of energy blasts at the nearest enemy ship. Each shot was fired with precision, lighting up the dark space with flashes of blue and red. His concentration was absolute, as he worked with the calm efficiency of a well-trained soldier. Across the ship, Jonas, the ever-reliable engineer, raced to the main control panel to check the ship's critical systems. He ensured that every shield was holding, and that the engines were providing the speed needed to outmaneuver the enemy. His hands moved quickly, recalibrating systems and redirecting power where it was needed most. Every beep from the console was a sign that the Eagle of Unity was still in the fight, and every adjustment was a small victory against the chaos of war. Ada, the ship's trusted AI, maintained a constant stream of information. "Captain, enemy formations are shifting. I recommend evasive maneuvers to avoid concentrated fire," she advised in her clear, synthetic voice. Her analysis was precise, and her words helped to guide the crew through the unfolding battle. Ada's presence was felt in every command, every calculation, as she tied together the efforts of the human crew and the ship's many systems. The enemy fleet was relentless. Waves of enemy ships circled around the Eagle of Unity, each one determined to break the spirit of the united crew. The space around the warship filled with bursts of energy, and explosions lit up the darkness. In the heat of battle, the crew's training and unity shone through. They moved as one, each action carefully coordinated with the next. Captain Arlen's voice rang out over the intercom. "Focus fire on the lead enemy vessel. Use all available weapons." His command was met with a flurry of activity as the crew concentrated their efforts. The combined power of human intuition and machine precision was now at its peak. Mira's sensor reports, Lyon's rapid firing, Jonas's technical adjustments, and Ada's tactical calculations all merged into one singular force of will. The battle raged on, and the Eagle of Unity began to show signs of its strength. A series of well-placed energy blasts caused one of the enemy ships to shudder and break apart, its pieces scattering into the void. Cheers and relief murmurs passed among the crew, a brief moment of joy in the midst of the ongoing conflict. Yet, there was no time to rest. The enemy had many ships, and each one was determined to continue the fight. As the battle grew more intense, the ship itself seemed to feel the pressure. Lights flickered and panels vibrated under the constant strain of energy impacts. But the crew, united by their purpose, refused to yield. Every person, whether working at a control station or standing in a support role, held fast. They were not simply fighting for survival, they were fighting for a future where unity could conquer division. Outside the windows, the stars bore silent witness to the clash of wills and metal. The Eagle of Unity, with its human heart and machine strength, was a beacon of hope in the cold, dark expanse. Every explosion, every burst of light, was a testament to the courage and skill of the crew. They had come together as one, and in that unity, they found a power that no enemy could easily break. As the enemy fleet pressed its attack, Captain Arlen made a critical decision. "Prepare to split our forces," he ordered. "Divide the energy output between forward and aft shields, and position our fighters for a flank attack." The command was simple, but it carried the weight of experience and strategy. The crew quickly adjusted, their movements synchronized by countless drills and the unspoken trust they had built over time. In the midst of the chaos, a small squadron of fighter ships, deployed from the main hull, darted out to engage the enemy from unexpected angles. Their nimble movements and swift attacks forced the enemy to scatter, creating gaps in their formation. This move allowed the main warship a brief moment of reprieve and a chance to regain its full defensive strength. The battle was far from over, and the Eagle of Unity continued to maneuver through a storm of fire and debris. Every heartbeat on board echoed the determination to stand firm. The enemy's assault was strong, but so was the unity that bound the crew together. They fought with every ounce of energy they possessed, knowing that their struggle was not only for survival, but for a future where humans and machines could thrive together. As energy blasts filled the space around them, and the sound of explosions reverberated through the corridors, the crew of the Eagle of Unity remained resolute. In that fierce moment of combat, they proved that the strength of unity was far greater than any force that sought to divide them. The battle had truly begun, and with every pulse of energy, the promise of a united future shined brighter against the dark canvas of space. The unexpected twist. Just as the battle seemed to reach a fever pitch, a sudden shift in the enemy's tactics caught everyone off guard. The Eagle of Unity was deep in combat when an unfamiliar signal crackled through the communication channels. Lieutenant Mira's eyes widened as she studied the new pattern on her display. "Captain, there is a change in the enemy's formation. They are not following the usual attack plan," she said, her voice a mix of surprise and concern. Captain Arlen quickly called the crew back to their stations. "All units, listen up. We are experiencing an unexpected twist. Stay alert and be ready to adapt." His tone was calm but urgent, and every crew member felt the weight of his words. The enemy was showing a side that no one had seen before, a hidden weapon system that could change the course of the fight in an instant. Ada, the ship's AI, analyzed the incoming data and spoke in her clear, even tone. "Captain, I have detected a new energy signature from one of the enemy vessels. It appears they are using a cloaking device to hide a powerful weapon." The revelation sent a ripple of tension across the bridge. For a moment, silence filled the room as each person processed the gravity of the situation. At the weapons control station, Private Lion quickly recalibrated the targeting systems to account for the unexpected threat. His fingers moved over the controls with determined precision. "I'm ready, Captain. I will adjust our fire to cover all angles," he reported, his youthful voice steady under pressure. Meanwhile, Jonas rushed to the main console to check the ship's defensive systems. He knew that even a single shot from this hidden weapon could cause serious damage. "I'm boosting the shields on the forward section. We need every bit of protection we can get," he said, working quickly to reassign power to the most vulnerable parts of the hull. Captain Arlen looked over the holographic map as Ada continued. "The enemy's cloaked weapon is nearing our left flank. I suggest a rapid repositioning of our fighters to intercept any sudden strikes." His mind raced through possible counter-moves, aware that this twist in the enemy's plan could turn the battle on its head. With a nod from the captain, the crew sprang into action. The fighter squadron, which had been engaging enemy ships, received new orders. Their agile craft split off from the main formation, darting toward the area where the hidden weapon was detected. The hope was to expose and disable the cloaked vessel before it could launch its attack. The tension on board the Eagle of Unity grew even higher. Every crew member was focused on their role, knowing that the success of this counterattack could save them all. The unity they had built, between human intuition and machine precision, was now their greatest asset in facing this unforeseen challenge. In the midst of the chaos, Ada's steady voice provided continuous updates, guiding both the main ship and the fighter squadron. "The cloaked vessel is trying to break cover. Adjust your course to keep it in your sights," she instructed. Her calm analysis helped ease the fear that had started to ripple through the ranks. For a brief moment, time seemed to slow as the fighter ships closed in on the enemy. The hidden vessel flickered in and out of view on the sensors, as if it were playing a dangerous game of hide and seek. In that critical second, Captain Arlen's experience shone through. "Fire at will. Focus on the cloaked target," he commanded. The fighter pilots responded with rapid precision, unleashing a barrage of energy blasts that illuminated the dark side of space. The enemy vessel, caught off guard by the sudden focus of fire, flickered on the display as its cloaking device faltered. In a burst of light and static, the hidden ship was revealed for all to see, a sleek, black vessel with an aura of menace. As the enemy's weapon system began to overheat, alarms rang out from within the cloaked ship. The unexpected twist had forced the enemy into a corner, and for the first time, their secret weapon was vulnerable. Jonas kept a vigilant eye on the main systems, ready to counter any retaliatory strike, while Private Lion monitored the fighter squadron's progress. The enemy vessel sputtered under the intense assault. Its cloaking mechanism, once a source of mystery and fear, was now exposed. With a final powerful burst from the fighters, the cloaked ship was disabled. The enemy's hidden trick had backfired, leaving them open to the unified force of the Eagle of Unity and its allies. In that moment, a surge of hope spread through the crew. The unexpected twist had been met with swift and effective counteraction. Captain Arlen allowed himself a brief smile of relief. "Well done, everyone. We have shown that no secret weapon can break our unity," he said, his voice carrying both pride and determination. The battle was far from over, but the victory over the cloaked vessel had strengthened the crew's resolve. They had faced an unforeseen threat and emerged stronger, proving that their bond, between human and machine, was unbreakable. The twist had been unexpected, but it also reaffirmed the power of unity in the face of any challenge. With the hidden enemy now out of the picture, the crew prepared to press on. Every member of the Eagle of Unity knew that many challenges still lay ahead. Yet in that small victory, they found a renewed belief in their mission and a deeper commitment to the cause. The promise of unity had once again proven its worth, setting the stage for the battles to come. Victory and a new beginning. The battle began to slow as the enemy forces retreated, leaving behind a quiet that felt almost surreal. The Eagle of Unity, though marked by scars of the fierce fight, now sailed steadily through the dark canvas of space. Its crew gathered on the bridge, their hearts still racing from the recent conflict, but filled with hope and determination. Captain Arlen looked out over the star-filled void and allowed himself a moment to reflect. The threat of the Emerges Empire had been pushed back, and for now, victory was within their grasp. "We did it," he said softly, almost to himself. His voice carried both relief and the understanding that this was only the beginning of a new chapter. The crew nodded silently, feeling the power of their unity. Across the ship, the crew began to assess the damage. Jonas moved quickly through the corridors, checking each system with careful precision. He and his team worked to repair the minor damage that had been sustained during the battle. Every beep from the control panels and every reassuring word from Ada helped restore confidence among the crew. Their combined skills and deep trust in one another were the true marks of their success. In the command center, Lieutenant Mira reviewed the sensor data. "The enemy fleet has withdrawn for now, Captain," she reported, "but we know they are regrouping. This victory is just a moment in a longer struggle." Her tone was calm and factual, yet every word carried the weight of what had been fought for. The message was clear. While today was a win, tomorrow would require even greater strength and unity. Private Lion, still processing the intensity of the battle, shared a look of quiet determination with his fellow pilots. The fighter squadron that had dashed out to intercept the hidden enemy had returned safely. Their bravery and skill had been crucial in exposing the enemy's secret weapon, and their actions inspired everyone on board. Lion's eyes sparkled with the promise of future challenges and the knowledge that each victory built a stronger bond between human and machine. As the Eagle of Unity drifted through the calm after the storm, Ada's gentle voice filled the ship. "All systems are returning to normal," she announced. Her clear tone was a comfort to all. Ada had been more than a guide during the battle. She had been a steadfast companion who ensured that every action was measured and that every decision was backed by careful analysis. In this moment of calm, her words reminded the crew that their strength lay in their balanced partnership of human instinct and machine logic. The captain gathered his team in the main hall for a brief meeting. The room was lit softly, and the atmosphere was one of quiet celebration mixed with sober reflection. Today we have shown that unity can overcome even the most unexpected challenges, Captain Arlen said. We fought hard, and we did not let fear break us apart. This victory belongs to every single one of you. But remember, the journey does not end here. We must remain vigilant and prepared, for the path ahead is long and uncertain. He spoke slowly and clearly, making sure every crew member understood the gravity and the promise of their mission. The meeting was not just about celebrating a win. It was a call to continue building on the unity that had brought them so far. Each word of encouragement was met with nods and determined looks. The crew knew that their victory was only a small part of a much larger story. In the days that followed, the Eagle of Unity became a symbol of hope. The repairs and updates carried out by Jonas and his team not only restored the ship, but also made it even stronger. New plans were drawn, strategies refined, and training sessions held, all with the goal of further uniting the talents of humans and machines. The shared experience of battle had deepened the trust among the crew, creating a bond that would carry them through future hardships. The legacy of today's victory spread slowly through the network of Allied ships and stations. Other crews, inspired by the Eagle of Unity's determination and success, began to unite in a similar way. The idea that unity between humans and machines could forge a new future spread like a hopeful light through the dark corridors of war. This ripple of strength promised that more lives would be touched by the courage and cooperation they had witnessed. As the Eagle of Unity set its course toward a new mission, the ship's log was updated with the day's events, a chronicle of bravery, teamwork, and the unexpected twists that had shaped their destiny. Captain Arlen's words were recorded for future generations, that in the face of overwhelming odds, the spirit of unity would always prevail. This record was not just a history of battle, but a testament to the power of coming together despite differences, to fight not only for survival, but for a brighter future. In the stillness of space, with the remnants of conflict behind them, the crew prepared for the next step in their journey. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they also knew that every trial would be met with the strength of their unity. And so, as the stars twinkled like promises in the night sky, the Eagle of Unity sailed on, a beacon of hope, a symbol of victory, and the beginning of a new era where human and machine worked side by side to shape a better tomorrow.